everybody, it's me meaning back with another video. Um, Let me decide. I'm literally deciding on the fly what I want to talk about because I have things that I'm supposed to be doing that I'm supposed to be learning and I'm not doing it. And I'm not. Hello, Sadie. Yes, I've started the video. Come on. Come on. Without fail. Without fail. Okay. Now we can officially start the video because Sadie has joined us. Um, I think Sadie's looking for that squirrel. If you don't follow me on Instagram, there's a squirrel that's been showing up like every day or every other day. And I think it's looking for Sadie and Morticia because one time it did show up and they were there and they were like following it. Like it was going up and down like the window sill. So it was going over here to over there, the back to there, and Sadie and them were going with it. But they didn't seem like they wanted to kill it. So I think it's now that they got a friend. It's just back for them. But that's funny. I posted those pictures on Instagram of the squirrel. Like it's literally like standing in my window doing this. Like where are they? This is usually the time when I would see them, and it comes around always at like 10 something, like probably like 10:45 is when it comes by. And usually the cats are in the room at that time. Just the last couple times that it's come by, the cats have been acting a damn fool and I have to put them in another room. But yeah, so continuing with like talking about like autism and stuff cuz I was going to talk about something else, but then this happened. I went to this restaurant that I like to go to, gluten-free restaurant. If you're following me on Instagram, you see that I have all these pictures of like gluten-free foods, waffle sandwiches, grilled cheese, cheesecake, like all of these like delicious foods, and they all come from this. Well, they come from most restaurants, but the one that I post the most comes from a specific restaurant that I like to go to eat breakfast at. And I always like to go very, very early because I have a problem with staying at a restaurant for longer than 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes me to get my food. And my therapist got on me about this before. I remember her looking at me like, people usually spend an hour to an hour and a half at a restaurant. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm by myself. And she's like, yeah, but you could still sit there and take your time and savor your food. And I'm like, no, I gotta get out of here. Like usually I would go and I would pick up the food and then I would leave. But it's kind of been like if I go and I decide to actually sit in the place, it has to be mostly empty. And I'm leaving probably 15 minutes after my food comes. And she was like trying to get me to try to stay longer. And I'm just like, no, I can't do it. Um, and this was before she told me that she suspected that I had autism. So I think that probably might have been one of the things because what happens to me when I go to a restaurant and it's anywhere after like 11, they get crowded and I get overwhelmed. I get sensory overload. Like I can literally like I hear everything. I hear every conversation near me in the restaurant. I hear every conversation that the waiters are having. I hear all of the dishes clanging, the sizzling of stuff, the cooking, the smells, the smoke. Um it all becomes too much. It's like suddenly I feel like there's too many people, there's not enough oxygen. I can't breathe. Um and so I went to this place and I was only like a couple minutes late. And by late, I mean I like to show up a minute or two before they even open to make sure that I get my spot, what has become my spot, um, in the corner, kind of away from everybody. Not it can't be you can't be too away. This is like a small hole in the wall type place, but I try to get there because I can avoid most people by sitting there. And because I was 2 minutes after they opened, someone had taken it. And I remember like they know me now. So when I come in, they were like, "Oh, hey, Minu, someone took your spot." And I'm just like, "Fuck." Um, but I come in and someone's already in my seat and I'm like, so then I have to pick a seat that is by the door. Like either I'm going to be in the corner or I'm going to be by the door so that I can escape when I need to. But the problem with picking a seat by the door is that that's also where the register is. So everybody who comes in, they have to order at the register before they sit down. So people start piling in and they're all like around me because I'm by the door. So their line is literally just like right behind my back. People are closer to me than that cat over there. Um, And usually, what I do when this happens is I have my earphones, I have noise canceling earphones that I will put in, and I will play something to help, like, kind of distract me from what's going on. And today I did not bring them. And I can remember that I had left them sitting on my coffee table because I was using them. And so they were not in my purse. And so because they were not there, I was like, oh crap, I have to eat really, really fast and I have to get the fuck out of here. I cannot do this. It's too many people. Like, there's these guys sitting next to me and they both had their phones out. And one was watching videos with no earphones. So the video was just playing out loud. And the other guy was FaceTiming someone with no earphones. So that video and that conversation was playing out loud. And one of the guys was watching a video that literally had a baby crying in it for like an extended period of time. And I was so upset that in addition to all the other noises and conversations and cooking and people paying and people trying to decide what they want to eat, I have to hear a baby crying. I was so upset. And then when they left, another couple came. I think it was these two dudes. I think they were on a date maybe because of the way they were asking these questions. But I was so upset because they over there talking. They just talk. Well, what do you like to eat? What do you usually eat for lunch? What the fuck kind of questions is these? I'm so frustrated at this point. And I didn't order something that I could like eat quickly and leave. So I'm like sitting here like I took two pictures and I'm like sitting here trying to eat, trying to guzzle it down. And you really can't guzzle it down. And I can't take it to go because my food is covered in gravy and gluten-free gravy does not hold well when you try to like microwave it later. So I was like, I have to eat all of this. And it was delicious. Don't get me wrong. It was biscuits and gravy. I love biscuits and gravy. Um, it was this restaurant's attempt at biscuits. It's not really like a biscuit. But anyway, that's what they called it. But I was just like sitting here like shoveling food down and my stomach was upset because it was like, why are you eating so fast? Like this is too much. Like slow it down or maybe don't eat no more. And I was just like, no, guzzling the food. Like eat, eat, eat. Like this is literally what was going on in my brain. Like I couldn't think of anything. I was trying to like look at my phone and like look at stuff. Couldn't think of anything. I was just like eat and leave, eat and leave, eat and leave, eat and leave. And so I ended up literally, as I was doing it, having to take something for my stomach to calm down because it was so upset that I was like guzzling this food down. And I don't know if people noticed, but I was just very upset and I wanted to leave. I wanted to go, but I had to eat my food before I could leave. And so I finally, like, I would say 20 minutes after I got there, which so that tells you 20 minutes after I got there, I had to order food. They had to cook the food and then I had to, sit down and eat. So I didn't eat for 20 minutes. So 20 minutes after I got there, I'm running out the door, ready to go. Don't even want to say anything. Like it's just too many people showing up. And then I also had to change my seat because the way I was sitting, like I said, people were closer to me than that cat, like up against my back in their line. And the way I was sitting to face the window so that I could look out the window and pretend I wasn't there. But I couldn't do that because of all these people on my back having their conversations and like holding the menu, the paper menu. When you just hear the paper moving, like right behind my head. So I had to get up to sit the other way to face the people in the line, which also was awful. I hate looking at people when they're that close to me. Um, it just made the whole ordeal just like so terrible and I just could not stand it. I was so upset that I left my earphones at home because like eating at a restaurant like is good to have like freshly cooked food, but also like restaurant sounds is just too much and I can't deal with it. Yeah, but I feel like this has been happening more as well. Like I feel like I've become more sensitive to well, I'm already sensitive to food textures, but I'm able to notice it more. Like I have a really hard time with egg yolk. Um, I had this conversation with my therapist where she was like telling me like, you need to put an egg in your pancakes or whatever. And I was like, you want me to do what? And she was like, yeah, you just crack an egg and that's going to make your pancakes. I was like, crack a what? No, ma'am. And she was like, what? I was like, no, I don't crack eggs. I tried it a few times not to impress my friends, but to look normal with my friends. Like, oh, if everybody's cracking an egg. But I'm like, no, I'm not gonna crack an egg. What the fuck? I want to do that. And she was just looking at me like, I don't understand. What's the issue with the egg? I was like, I don't want to deal with the slimy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, that stuff that get on your fingers and then you have to like go rinse out. Like, no, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to look at it as it comes out of the egg. I don't want to deal with the yolk when you're trying to stir it and it like comes apart. It's just too much. I don't like it. I don't like the feel of it. I don't eat scrambled eggs. I don't like the sunny side up, the runny eggs, whatever you call them. I just don't do eggs like that. When I eat eggs, it's always boiled eggs and they are boiled hard. I cannot stand when I go somewhere and like there's a option to get a boiled egg and they boil it soft to where the inside may still be runny. Why would you do this to me? I get so upset. I'd rather it be an old egg than a soft, gooey egg. Like I cannot I cannot do it. It's too much. And she was like, you need to buy like cooking gloves so that you don't have to feel the egg when you crack it. And I was like, sure, I can do that. It's gonna take me months. I don't know, like getting new things. Like my therapist was like, you need to get a lamp because I was telling her how dark my apartment is because I can't stand how bright it is. Like I don't turn on the lights, and they replaced the lights in my kitchen to be these bright LED lights, and it made me so upset because they were too bright. And then she was like, you need to get lamps. And I'm like, okay, it's going to take me a few months to get around to actually putting in the effort and energy to finding a place that has lamps and then finding a lamp that is adequate for my apartment and my cats. It's going to take me a while. Some things just take me months to do. And I live alone, so there's no one to do it for me. There's no one who's going to be like, "Oh, let me go with you to Home Depot so we can find a light for you." No. No. The light went out in my bedroom like a few months ago, and I just let it be. Like I think it was like towards the end of summer when those lights went out, and I just let them lights be out. And it wasn't until a week or so ago that the maintenance guy was coming to fix the light in my kitchen, and I was like, "Hey, you got some light bulbs to put in that bedroom?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." I didn't expect him to put all the light bulbs in because now it's too bright. I only needed one to go in there, just enough light that I could see where I'm going when I go to bed. I do not need all that light. Please stop. And they were like, "Well, your lights was old. They're outdated. We've upgraded to new light." I don't give a fuck about them new lights. I want my old lights. I want the lights that I've always had for the past several years that I've been living in this apartment. I like if you couldn't replace the lights with the same light, the exact same light that we had before, let me know. I'll go get them and I'll put them hoes in myself. I don't know how I do it, cause them tube lights, but I would figure out a way. I'd call up a renter man or something to come do it. You didn't have to like replace my lights with brand new, completely different, brighter lights. I hate that. Like all I need is the light coming in from like the windows. I don't turn on my regular lights during the day. The only reason I have my kitchen light on is because I grew up with the kitchen light on. But sometimes I be feeling like this too much and I turn that kitchen light off. I let the entire apartment go dark because sometimes just lights are just too much. Um and I was so as I bolted out of the restaurant, I called my friend because my friend, she's some type of neurodivergent. I don't know. She's never been diagnosed with anything, but the way she acts is just something's off there. And I was asking her, I was like, have you ever had a situation like this? And she was like, no, not really. Like I have social anxiety, but I don't have what you talking about. That's a lot. You can hear everything. And I was like, I can hear everything. And that's why when I'm in my apartment, like I have all of these like white noise things on. Like I have fans or air purifiers just going constantly to help drown out like those random little like noises like I'm used to like the refrigerator hum. Like that's always been growing up. I'm used to refrigerator hum. I'm not used to refrigerator likes to make random stuttering noises at random periods of time. I'm not used to it does this thing where it starts vibrating if it's off center or something, and I have to come and put my hand on the door to make it stop. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to a house that creaks randomly in the middle of the night because your floor is hollow or something. I don't like that. Um, And so I have to have like these fans. I can hear the fan now. I like to have these fans just like going constantly, whether it's a desk fan. Now it's the air purifiers in my bedroom, my living room, my bathroom. Um, because it just helps when I go out of town. Now I do play a white noise thing on my phone, on a loop so that I can actually sleep because I can't deal with the noises of like a hotel room at night. Um, and I don't know how to describe to you hotel noises. It's hotel noises. Um, but I feel like I've become so much more sensitive to this. I've become so much more aware of like my clothing preferences. I've been doing research and talking to autistic women and talking about clothes and stuff and how I just have to wear baggy clothes all the time. And I get a lot of anxiety when something's like you have to be dressed business professional or you have to be dressed fancy. Like I was a New Year's party that my friend had where she was like, make sure you dress fancy. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I want to wear my baggy sweatpants. And I've always had a thing for baggier clothes, not wanting to wear tight clothes, tight shirts, or anything like that. And now that I'm an adult who has our own money, who can buy our own clothes, I get to dress the way I want. But as you can imagine, when I was younger, it was very difficult when my mother would want me to wear tighter clothes to show off my figure. And I didn't want to do that because it's like you feel like you're being choked. Um, I have these stretchy leggings that I do like wearing because they're very stretchy, but I have leggings that aren't very stretchy and I do not I used to wear them because I feel like they work for like exercise and stuff, but it's just hard. It's hard to wear them because they don't really give much because they're meant to be like thicker padding or whatever so that you don't have like stuff like your butt crack shape showing. And I haven't worn them. I haven't worn them in many months. I haven't worn them since like maybe spring of last year. Because they're just too tight. Um and I guess maybe too, like I don't like feeling like I'm fat and I can't fit into my clothes anymore. So having things that stretch, having things that are very soft of certain textures, not being able to wear like some of my pants, like one of my pajama pants is kind of scratchy for no reason. And it drives me crazy and I can't wear it anymore. I have to wear like other types of pants. Um, I got new underwear. I know that's TMI. I got new underwear. It's like very soft. Um, underwear, like super soft. Like I've never worn something this soft. And I'm mad because I had bought two different types of new underwear. And one of them, it does kind of stretch, but it's like more like the material is like stronger. And I really liked it until I put on this other pair that was soft. And I was like, nothing feels good anymore. I have found the thing that I want to wear. Nothing else matters. Nothing else feels good. Everything else, I got a problem with it now because I found the actual soft underwear that I would like to wear. Even if it don't fully fit me right, it's soft. It's so soft. I can't go back. I can't go back. And then I made a list. I'm going to share this list with my therapist um of things that I feel like are autism. So I would say like so we already know like struggle socializing, difficulty being in public. I just my therapist feels that I'm autistic because she sees a very high level of masking of me very consciously thinking about what I say when I say it, the inflection of my voice, how I sit, how I stand, where I sit in the room in relation to other people, how I respond to people. Like I'm very much like making sure I'm saying the right thing before I say it. I'm not a natural speaking person. Except for when I'm doing this, like I don't have a script. Um, but yeah, I got irritable with my friend because she had on AirPods and we were on the phone and she was breaking down boxes and she thought I couldn't hear her, but I could very much hear her. And so as I was trying to talk and I just heard, I don't even know where it's at. Is it? No, that's not it. I don't have anything that's comparable, but I could just hear like crunching and like it just kind of sounded like you took like I don't know if it was cardboard, but it just sounded like something was like crunching and being squeezed and manipulated like in my ear as I was trying to talk and literally in the middle of me saying something I was like, "What are you doing?" And I didn't mean to be mean or like But I just got really, really irritated and overwhelmed in that moment because I was hearing that. And she was like, damn, like Minu, what that I'm crushing out some boxes. I'm like, you're crushing boxes. That's what you're doing. Do we need to stop right now so you can finish crushing your boxes? And she was like, what? No, no, we can talk. Like, I like talking to you while I'm doing stuff. I'm like, okay, well, that's all I'm hearing right now is these boxes. I can't think straight. I can't finish my train of thought. I can't say words. And she was like, oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Give me a minute. And then she was like, okay, now. And then we continue, and I still heard her crushing the fucking boxes. And I was like, are you still crushing boxes? I thought you were done. She was like, you can still hear me? And I was like, yes. And she was like, okay, okay, just give me a minute. Give me a minute. I just got to get this stuff outside to the dumpster. I was just like, oh my God. And then I was on the phone with her today telling her about how much I was overwhelmed with stuff. And I was like I was in the middle of my sentence and I was like, yeah, if you ever feel like that, are you brushing your teeth right now? And she was like, yes. Yes, I am brushing my teeth right now, Minu. And I'm just like, okay. And she was like, I can't stop brushing my teeth. I'm getting ready. It's morning time. I'm like, I understand. I understand. I just hear it so clearly. You know what I mean? Like I hear the swishing. I hear the water running. I hear the spit. Then you swish again. Like I hear all of it. And she was like, damn, your ears are too fucking sensitive. And I was like, yeah, yeah, they are. They're very sensitive. It's weird how sensitive they are. Um, But yeah, so the sounds thing is a real big issue with me. Another thing that I feel like is, also autism, like eye contact, um the inconsistent capacity thing, ability thing is something I'm really trying to narrow down, but it's something that I've struggled with where there seems to be times where I can really just push and I can do all of these things and I'm amazing. And then there's times when I'm the complete opposite to where it would like shock people that I'm like this. like my friend called me and she asked me, she was like, okay, they're asking for me to do this type of thing. And you know so much about this system, so you can help me with this, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, did you just ask me to do math? She was like, yeah, they just want to know the percentage of people that are this. I was like, okay, but you asked me to do math. I can't do math. I can't do percentages, ma'am. And she was like, okay, but you know the system that makes all of this stuff happen. So how would you do this? And I was like, I would ask them to tell me exactly what it is they need from me because I can't do percentages. And she was just like, Minu, come on, help me out here. And I was like, I can't help you. Now, if you want to ask me how to make the system do stuff, I could tell you, but you asking me to do math. I can't tell the system to do some shit that I don't know how to do my damn self. And she was like, oh my God, Minu, it was just like it's just like a struggle. It's like I taught this woman everything she knows, and she sees me as this genius who's so inspirational and all of this stuff because I'm able to do so many things, and then turn around and there's just things that it makes no sense that I have no idea how to do or I just don't do. It's very confusing to her. Yeah, we know the whole struggle with socializing. I can't hang out with a bunch of people for too long. Maybe I can do one on one for a good period of time, but like one on two even is very stressful for me. I can't do that for too long because I get really, really tired easily. And now that I've been studying, I guess this maybe is like because I'm masking so hard that it becomes difficult for me to like, I get tired. Like calling someone on the phone and like talking to them on the phone, you can't see each other, is a lot easier for me, even though I don't do it that much. It's a lot easier for me to like sit in a room with you because now I'm thinking about how I'm sitting, if I'm sitting too close, making sure that I'm showing the right amount of enthusiasm and emotion in response to the things that this person is saying. um Making sure that I'm empathizing appropriately. Like all of that stuff makes me very tired, and then I go home and I just like crash. And I didn't realize that that was a thing that autistic people did. I just thought it was a thing that, because I'm also introverted, so I didn't really identify. But also, I didn't know what autism was until my therapist brought it up. Um, the other thing that I wanted to say, and then I will end the video because I was planning to talk about something else. The other thing I want to say, and then I end the video, is something that I had expressed to one of my white friends a few years back. About interviewing. Interviewing has always been stressful because you have to like make yourself appear to be this amazing person so that they want to hire you, right? And it's always been very stressful. Not just because of the amount of trauma I have that makes me feel like I'm terrible and to why should we choose you over someone else? I don't know. I'm terrible. Um, but not just because of that, but once I had to do like extensive training with this friend because she's a career coach, extensive training with her, interview prep, writing out all the possible questions I might get asked, all the type of answers that I need to say in response to what these people are doing. Like we really got very granular about it. Like, you know how people be like, well, just be yourself in the interview. Fuck that. I had to create a new person. Like this person is bright and they're optimistic and they're a self-starter and they are, able to work autonomously and collaboratively. All of this stuff, like all of these big words that just oppress people. Like we over engineered that like so hard to create this person. So after a certain amount of interviews, I went into this interview and I killed it. I killed it in an interview. I had done several rounds of interview prep at that point. So I was able to answer all like even something as simple as a hi, how are you? I had to practice that. And so I nailed it and I called my friend and I was like, who was that? Like I had a moment where I was like, wait, none of that is me. Like I just kind of turned into a different person. Um like they'd be like, "Oh, hello, Minu, how are you?" And I'd be like, "Better than I deserve." you know. And part of it is code switching, and part of it is corporate BS making you have to be another person. But I was genuinely like had a moment where I was like, I turned into a completely different person. Like I am not um that person. I didn't feel like I was that person, but I was very confused and I didn't know what had happened. On one hand I was like, oh, I'm glad that I like nailed the interview. I was very prepared for everything. There's nothing better than having a conversation and I am prepared for every single thing that comes out of that person's mouth. Ooh, feels so good. Because the second you say something I wasn't ready for. mm, and I've had those moments in interviews where like I had no idea what to say to what they said and I bombed. um so like I was like prepared for everything that they asked me, everything that they said, and so I told my friend, I was like, I don't know who that person was that did that. Glad that she impressed them. Glad that she knew exactly what to say and said all the right things, and they were very happy and excited when talking with her. She was giving them everything they needed. That she was checking all their boxes. She was the type of person that they want to hire, like all of that stuff. I was like, I'm glad that she did that because I need the money, but I felt like that wasn't me. Like that was a different person. And she was like, "No, you know what it is? That was the true you, the real you. That you just really shined in that moment." And I was like, "Okay." But I never really felt that that was that. Like when I'm talking about like when I feel like I'm being natural, it feels like I'm not often very natural. But like when I'm alone, when I'm alone with myself in my room and my thoughts, um a different person, like my best friend right now, and like talking to her feels very natural. So when I'm talking to her, I say all types of off color, off the cuff things that might be considered rude or disrespectful. And she just laughs it off. She thinks it's funny. But these are things that I cannot say around other people. Like I've had moments when I've been more natural and it has been received very, very poorly. Um, so I was like, no, that doesn't feel like me. But the more I do interviews, the more I'm able to allow that person to take over in that moment, and it's becoming more of a second nature to allow that person to take over. Um and let them just do their thing when I have an interview. I'm doing a lot of interviews right now, by the way. Um, so I'm doing a lot. The more interviews I do, the more I let this person just kind of take over. And sometimes they'll say something and she'll just bullshit it, but she'll say it in a way that makes them think, oh wow, yeah, yeah, And I just let her do it. But there was a part of me that's like, I'm not really that person. And so it makes me think because it doesn't feel like that's like the natural me by any means. That doesn't feel natural. Because I have to think really, really hard. Like I had to over engineer that personality in order to get jobs. That doesn't feel natural to me. Um, and so it made me wonder, now that I've been looking into autism and I've been on the subreddits and I've been speaking to more autistic people and listening to their struggles, um, if that is like a masking thing. And that could be why I have such a hard time working in the office versus working from home, and why I have such a hard time doing Zoom calls with my camera on. Um, because I've had people call out how my face just drops on a Zoom call. Like the longer the Zoom call goes, like I'm usually looking really intensely at my face to make sure I'm showing the right emotion. I've had times when I've just been too tired to do it. And so my face just drops. And I've had a coworker message me and be like, why is your face like that? You look so bored and disinterested with what she's saying. And I was just like, can't do nothing. Like, leave me alone. I don't have the energy to keep this up, okay? Just let me turn my camera off. My manager's like, no, cameras must be on at all times. And I'm just like, this is so much. Um, and it becomes very stressful because I am paying so much attention to my facial expressions, to the point where people be like, aha, Minu, look at Minu's face. You know what I mean? Like, it's just very, very stressful, and it's a lot to put up. And so the more I talk to people about this, the more I realize that if I am autistic, it's feeling more and more likely at this point. Um, this would be one of those high masking behaviors that my therapist has identified in me, where I literally turn into a different person in order to get an interview, in order to get the job. And I wish people didn't have to do that. Like, I wish you could just be yourself. Like, I feel like when I had my time as a recruiter, because you guys know I work in HR. I've recruited before. When I was a recruiter, I was not looking for people to be super proper or corporate or anything like that. I appreciated it more if they were like just straightforward and honest. They talk the way they talk, they explain the way they feel, and then I can decide whether or not that person is, a good fit. I've offered jobs to quote unquote ratchet people, because they still had the personality that I needed for the role, and just because they talked a different way didn't mean anything to me. Like, I was still like, oh, yes, that person, And so I'm that person, and I accept people for their differences. Because at the end of the day, it only matters to me if you can do the job and you can get along with your coworkers. Um, but it just sucks that there are so many, not just recruiters, but hiring managers who need you to present yourself in this super prim proper way. Like, it made me very upset. I did a job interview and they had on the Zoom link in red letters, you must dress business professional for this interview. And I was offended because I was like, why? It's a Zoom call. Now, I don't need jeans and a t-shirt, but like I can dress business casual. I'm at home. Like, you know what I mean? But I dressed up and everything, and I still wasn't professional. Like, I don't own a blazer, you know? But it's just like stuff like that that's so antiquated, that's so old, that it's not even about, especially when you're working at home. Like, if I interviewed someone and they had a hoodie on like me, I wouldn't care. And I've interviewed with a recruiter who literally was wearing jeans and a t-shirt and a baseball cap in the call, and I didn't care about it because people can wear whatever they want as long as they're good at their job. Now, that guy turned out not to be good at his job, but that's a whole other thing. Um, but it's just like, I just wish that people didn't have to mask, that they didn't have to code switch, that they didn't have to present themselves in a certain way when interacting with people. That it could just be like, either you vibe or you don't vibe. Because I do feel like there's been a few times in my relationships where people have liked me for the person I pretended to be and not the person I actually was. And that was very upsetting and uncomfortable for me. I didn't like that. And I would recognize that in people. Like, they only liked me for this type of personality trait that I had invented, created, or whatever, in order to fit in with everybody else around me. And it made me uncomfortable and made me not want to be friends with that person anymore. And it's not necessarily their fault because I did it. I made myself out to be this person. But it was just one of those things, like, when you present yourself in that way or you're masking in that way, you cannot hold it for a long period of time. And I think that's why in some of my previous jobs where I've been in person, where I've had meltdowns, like I've freaked out and people were like, "What is going on with Minu? What's happening? Why is she doing this? What's going on? What's wrong?" And I've like ran out of the building to go sit in my car and have an episode because day in and day out, having to be on for everybody was literally taking its toll on me. It was not something that I could keep up long term. And that's why whenever jobs are like, we'll pay you $20,000 to relocate to come in the office, or we need you to be coming to office 1 day a week. No, no days a week. No, I need to be remote in order for me to function at my jobs. And I also prefer when I'm doing my job remotely that I have my camera off. That's when I work my best. That's when I feel most comfortable, most safe. Um, Anything else is just going to tire me out and I'm not going to be able to work appropriately. I am looking into getting a diagnosis for autism because if I can get it, and I know it's very hard for Black women to get it, but if I can get it, I will definitely use it to get like accommodations at work because though to everybody else, I seem to be this. I know people don't like saying high functioning. I don't know another word for it right now, but like high functioning, independent, has a job, does well in society, washes dishes, like whatever it is. People see me and they're just like, "You're amazing, you're doing all these things, you're like you can travel and like all of this stuff." And like, yes, I do those things. But I also struggle a lot behind the scenes and most people don't get to see that part because I rather not bother you with my struggles. I'd rather not be a burden. But it's hard. It's not like I just go through my day or go through my life like just killing it at everything. Most people don't, but there's just a lot of things that I do it, but it's a lot harder for me to do it than it is for other people. So I hope that I can get a diagnosis and then I hope that I can have that as my work accommodations going forward because being physically in the office kills me. And I would rather not have shutdowns and meltdowns at work and people think that I am mentally unstable simply because I got overstimulated and I could not do it anymore. So anyway, that's all I want to talk about. I let the video go on way too long. Sorry about that. Love you guys. Take care of yourself because you deserve it. Drink your water, eat your snacks, take your naps. Love on yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Remember to like and subscribe. I like forget to say that all the time because it's really more important to me that you watch the videos. But if you like the videos, please like and subscribe to the videos. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Bye.